You're listening to ASOTU CON sessions by Space Auto, recorded live at ASOTU CON 2025.
We're live at the ASOTU CON podcast stage, which happens to be powered by Space Auto. And we're right here in the heart of the action of ASOTU CON 2025. I'm David Spisak, CEO of Disruptive Growth Solutions, and I'm very fortunate here to be joined here today by the one and only indomitable Ben Hadley, talking about, check this out, you haven't heard this anywhere, we're going to talk about entering the age of compression.
That's right.
All right, Ben Hadley, it's always a pleasure. It's wonderful to see you, as always, my friend.
So good.
All right, so let's jump right into it. So let's start out with a little bit of a primer course for everybody, for all of us that doesn't just like jump out into our brain to where we understand what it means exactly. What is the age of compression? Why is it happening now? Why does it matter?
So I want you to picture a sine wave, okay? In that sine wave, up and down represents a trend. It could be the adoption of something, and then the peak of something, and then the disruption of something. Up and down, up and down. It used to be that you had to go to like your great-grandfather and say, hey, you've lived 85 years. I'd love to get your perspective on all the things that have been innovative. Because they could see this giant sine wave. It took an 80-year cycle to see really massive amounts of innovation. Today, it actually feels volatile, right? We see a new upgraded version of ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or
Agentic, yeah.
happening every day. So it's almost like when you go from a series of pictures at 10 frames per second, your brain can capture and say that's 10 pictures. Once you get to 24 frames, when it's happening really rapidly, when it's compressed, all of a sudden it's one fluid video. And I think that's what we're witnessing with innovation right now, is that our attention is starting to get compressed. On average, it takes a person 1.4 seconds to lose interest and get distracted. Back in the 1920s, from some of the first films, an average shot was 12 seconds long because people had longer attention spans. Today, if you count a Netflix show and count how long it takes before that camera angle changes, it's about 2 seconds, right? Because our brains just cannot.
I remember when Vine came out. You remember Vine?
Yes.
Vine came out, and they said it's a 7-second video. And I thought, what the hell am I going to do with 7 seconds of video? What am I going to say in 7 seconds of video?
Yeah.
And you think that's completely ridiculous. And then a little company called TikTok comes out. And what did we learn about TikTok? Is if you want people to stay engaged, if you want them to go from start to finish, if you want to get maximum impressions, that freaking thing better be no more than 11 to 15 seconds long.
Yep.
True?
You have to get immediately right to the point, right? Get the engagement, they'll watch the rest of the video. But I want you to think about how long it took TikTok to get to 100 million users, because this is another version of the compression I'm talking about. Facebook took 4.5 years to get to 100 million users. TikTok took 9 months.
And then ChatGPT
took 2 months.
It's crazy.
So that gives you this sort of squishing that I'm talking about, this hyper up and down volatility that we're witnessing right now.
You know, Ben, we've become so accustomed to it. It's so funny. Whether we know it or not, we are conditioned on a daily basis. We're programmed, right? No different than the apps on your phone. We're all programmed, whether we know it or not. We're wired. And we have gotten to the point to where this is not evolutionary. This is a seismic shift. And what that means is as quickly as stuff is evolving, changing, iterating, or just, completely replacing something, we have to up our game and start moving at the same rate of speed, don't we?
We do, but auto has its brakes on.
In what respect?
I make this joke all the time. We spell API FTP. So
that wasn't that funny. I mean, jokes are supposed to be funny.
I hit another.
Was that funny?
That was pretty good, I thought. Audience says yes.
He loved it.
Yeah.
I get
being,
it,
though.
Yeah.
Right. you have up-and-comers, Techion as an example, that are opening things up, trying to spark innovation by partnering and allowing collaboration. Places like this are built on a foundation of collaboration. But you can only collaborate so far if the data's locked up. And you can't react quickly if I have to pull the data out, log in to go get it, click stuff, So I think we're inherently behind, yet we are still humans that are getting a 1.4 second attention span, that are participating in all the other verticals, like Facebook, like TikTok, like et cetera. So we're participants in everything else, but then we come back to our day job, and we go, what the heck is going on here? Why can't we push forward? Why can't we innovate faster? Why can't we keep up with this age of compression?
Ben, are the solutions creating new problems?
Well, this is
So to
unfortunately,
speak.
Yeah. I think, for example, we got SpeedLayer, right? SpeedLayer.
Tell us about SpeedLayer.
Yeah, so that makes your website load about 50% faster.
Okay, how does it do that? Without giving away all the trade secrets. From a high level.
If you can think about us as like a portal that, or a tunnel that sends all the third-party bloat of your website through it, so that the browser can just accept it faster. It's almost like what Google
The
Tag
boring
Manager should have
company
been.
versus Highway 5.
Exactly. That's
Right.
a perfect analogy. But that actually is leaning into compression, right? Because eventually, if I do my job and I make everything 50% faster, people are going to want faster than that.
It's actually such a great point. And I love sitting here thinking about, having this conversation with you. First of all, you're one of the most innovative people that I know.
Thank you.
You always have been. And I think it's such a great point because it makes me think back to when I first was logging on to anything online. One of the first memories was You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
Right? And you remember that when you had a fax machine and you heard it connecting, that whole thing, and that was the modem waiting to catch up, right? And then it hit, it got connection, got traction, and then you got that connection finally. Well, back then it was a 14.4 modem.
Yep.
We were like, this is killing me, man. You could just see the page paint on the screen.
Yeah.
And then we went 28.8 and oh my God, this is amazing. This is straight up voodoo.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Thank you. I'll be at the Holiday Inn, 2 shows every weekend. So, see, that's a joke.
That was a great joke.
So you
Yeah.
see that?
Yeah.
So I got to teach you grasshopper. But the crazy thing is, as technology got faster, we caught up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it became our new baseline. There's a statement that is forever going to be true. Once any human gets exposed to a superior way of doing something, they will never go back to the inferior way. Meaning, to your point, age of compression, as things get better and better and better, if you happen to have a solution that hasn't kept up or caught up,
Yeah.
I'm moving on.
Yep.
True?
And it will be canceled and deleted and go
Move on. I'm done.
Faster than ever before.
People won't go back to that website again.
Totally.
To your point, so this compression you have, SpeedLayer.
Yep.
So with SpeedLayer, and the way we are, we're like instant gratification.
Totally.
People as human. I walk into a Starbucks. They have the mobile ordering. I want you to do this as a social experiment. Just go to a Starbucks, hang out there for a minute, and watch the people walk in that had mobile ordered. They're freaking out. They're like,
Is that me? Is that me? Is that me? Is that me? Yeah.
I ordered a 195-degree chai latte, half calf, with hazelnut, 5 pumps, right? Is it here? When did you order it? Oh, when I was walking in the door. It's
Right.
Bro, they want it right now, right? See, that was a joke.
Well,
But isn't that true?
I think it is true with one giant caveat.
Tell me.
The caveat on that is, and this will be a counterintuitive thought to think about. I actually think what this is going to ultimately do is start shifting the landscape back towards things that actually showcase effort. So what we tend to do with saving customers time is we leave it at that. Hey, I saved you some time. We don't take the time we saved and then repurpose it for maybe a better F&I experience a concierge experience, right? I'm using a digital retailing metaphor. But here's another example. If you took a TV ad, right, and you pay $50,000 to put the whole thing together, and then you pay, another $100,000 to make sure it's on, or maybe more than that, for a Super Bowl ad.
Okay.
The audience can actually feel the effort that was placed there. Now I want you to imagine you took the same exact footage, but you put it into any digital medium, YouTube pre-roll, Amazon OTT, whatever. What you fundamentally feel is that the effort and meaning will be reduced subconsciously, because we look at that and go, oh, a 15
too easy,
second,
too accessible?
Too easy. I made my wife Happy Mother's Day card.
Yeah.
I spent 3.5 hours in ChatGPT making the perfect card, like a visual, her as a superhero, my daughter as a superhero, trading superhero powers. She opened it up and she goes, oh, AI, an AI card? You know,
See, that's a good joke right there. Oh man, I'm so glad I didn't do that.
But she couldn't even feel the 3.5 hours. She thought maybe
Isn't
this
that
guy,
crazy?
Right.
So what do you do about that? So I mean, on one hand, we're going to get faster, simpler, and easier. But on the other hand, the more we do it, we're making it look too easy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
For a client, how do I deal with that? How do I live in the space between those two?
100%. This is the conundrum, is that I actually think some of the things, like even something like direct mail, actually is going to come back. Because like a handwritten message shows at least there was some effort and meaning.
You know what? I posted on LinkedIn 2 days ago, like as I was coming in here, I posted on the flight over, it was on Tuesday. I got a manila envelope on Monday afternoon, brought into my office, handwritten, plain old school 1970s manila envelope, this big, handwritten David Spisak address, Liza Borchers, one and only. Inside is a book, the book Driven, this story of the 100 years of Carter Myers. Real book.
Yeah.
Not digital, not, hey, here's a gift
Amazon
certificate to
gift
put it
card,
on
go buy
Kindle,
this. Yeah.
right? You open up the book, and there's a page-long, beautifully written, thoughtful, from the heart inscription. I will never forget that. And I posted that was probably in 45 years. I've gotten some incredible things. You know, I've done flights and tickets and trips and won things and been so fortunate. I've never gotten anything more memorable than that. I will never forget that. And to your point, like direct mail, handwritten, maybe that stuff's going to ultimately find its way back.
I think it will. I think what you're also witnessing is that things that are decompressing are luxury items. They feel luxurious, right? Something like an experience at a Hermes store is not just the product, but is a complete...
It's a total experience.
Right? But it is not, we can get you done in a half hour. It is, no, I'm going to spend all day here.
Isn't that crazy? The person who goes to that store doesn't care. That's not what it's about. That's not their priority. It's about that experience.
I mean, here's a better one, the farmer's market. If I said, hey, David, my wife wants to go this weekend on Saturday to 18 different stalls to get 18 different vegetables and pay 18 different guys to get those vegetables, would you say that's a good idea? You go, no, that's crazy. And you go, well, no, it's called the farmer's market. You go, oh yeah, we do that every Saturday too.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
all right. So Ben, as we hit the speed round,
yeah.
we got to wrap up.
Yep.
So I'm a dealer, and I've been exposed at ASOTU CON here, which has been remarkable. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Paul, for another absolutely remarkable event. Just keeps getting better and better. And I'm surrounded here by technology. You got the robot over here. You know, I've got Mosaic. I've got Gabagoo, Upstart, Mia. I've seen some just tremendous tech around here. And it's moving at this breakneck speed.
Yeah.
As a dealer, tell me one or two things I can and should do the moment I get back to my store to be able to activate, leverage this, and be able to take advantage, make sure that I am keeping up with the speed of compression and that my solutions are doing the same thing.
I don't care what amount you do. I would recommend about 15%. Take a portion of your ad marketing budget and dedicate it to R&D. A deliberate practice that is like, we're going to use this money every month to experiment with new vendors. And our goal is to beat the existing vendor that I have.
know a few stores that do that who are so willing to fail fast.
Yeah.
And they're willing to just literally pioneer.
We kind of do this random dance where you show up at places like this and go, oh, that looks good. It's fine. Actually, it should be methodical. It should be, hey, yeah, I've got $10,000. I've got $1,500 to work with every month. And I'm going to go use that every other month to try something new.
I love that. So here's a thought for all of you. So imagine I'm a new employee. You're going to hire me as a new employee. And I can do everything you want me to do. I'll exceed your expectations for the first 6 months or year. And I say the second year, I'm going to pull back. Okay? I got to pace myself. So I'm going to pull back, pace myself. Maybe I'm doing 80% of what you need. Third year, 50% of what you need. At what point are you going to let me stay in that place? Will you let me be there 8 or 10 years later? You absolutely would not. But how many tech stacks are out there with solutions that have been there for literally 20 years?
Yep.
And they stop being viable. They stop being amazing. They stop being even effective.
Yeah.
Maybe 10, 12, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
It's time to get uncomfortable, don't you think, Ben?
Absolutely. Disrupt yourself first.
I always say it, disrupt yourself. By the way, I'm David Spisak. I'm the CEO of Disruptive Growth Solutions. Funny how that worked out. He's Ben Hadley. And Ben, why don't you, before we leave, how do people get a hold of you? And how do they learn more about SpeedLayer?
I'm Ben at autogenius.io.
You got AutoGenius as well.
Yep.
Which is a good place to start.
That's where I would start.
Yeah.
Find me there. Find me on LinkedIn.
I love it. Well, thank you for taking the time to join. It is always a pleasure to hang out with you.
The best.
Look forward to the next time. And I know something great is going to be coming out of, anything that your brain's involved with. It's going to be phenomenal. So thank you so much. All the best. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this ASOTU CON session brought to you by Space Auto. At ASOTU, we're obsessed with uniting people around one big idea, that thriving people are the only path to a thriving and profitable industry. If that resonates with you, head over to morethancars.com to join our email list and explore our full list of podcasts.